I mentioned earlier that you need to know what to do next. So what is a strength-based approach? So it is looking at each child and identify their strengths and build on them. So focus on engagement strategies that have been successful and find good in the worst situation. There's always a way to look on the bright side, and I would encourage you to always think, how could this work in the child's best interest? What do we have to change to make this better? So I have one more activity for you, and we have a strength-based decision-making model that experts developed because what we knew is that sometimes there's nothing more you could do. Engagement strategies are just not working. And you may be faced with unsafe behaviors. So the child, again, may be threatening to harm themselves or others. And so we wanted a model that you could think of, okay, what do I do first, and then what, and then what? And what is sort of the key order to operations that will be most successful? So there's 5 steps in this model, and your task here will be to read them, read each one, and decide, would this be the first step or the last step? Would it be the second step or the third step? And work on figuring out what things you would do first, etc. So I'll leave you to read all those and try to put them into the order that you think the model would go in. Okay, so 97% of you said that the first step would be that the leader or coach uses strength-based strategies to engage and influence the child. Yes, absolutely, this is the first thing that you would do. And then 88% of you said that the second thing you would do is that another leader or coach would try to engage and influence that child. And the reason that is that it could just be you. And, you know, we often don't want to think that it could be us, that we have the best intentions. But really, we would want to ensure that there was just something that wasn't going on with us that was having a negative effect on the child. So we would invite someone else to try working with this child to see if there was another result. All right, and then 90% of you said that the next step would be that the leaders or coaches talk to a supervisor, parent, or support person for guidance and try again to engage and influence that child. And sometimes people think that that would come after invite the child, parents, guardians, and other agreed upon people to hear the child's story and agree on alternative strategies. But the reason we would not do that, and 87% of you are correct in saying that you would go to the supervisor, parent, or support person, because often what happens is the leader will come to the supervisor and say, you know, this child is not engaging, and the supervisor says, oh, I forgot to tell you, the parent actually made a note about something that happened last week, and I was supposed to let you know. So again, you wouldn't necessarily just jump to the parent immediately. You would look at you would talk to your supervisor and let the supervisor know that there was an issue, and find out if there's any other information anyone has before going to the parents, and or in an official way. So the fourth way, when we would invite the child and the parents or guardians and other people to hear the child's story and agree on alternative strategies, is different from the third step, where you would just talk to the parent. So that would the third step would be much more informal, and you might see the parent after the activity, and you might say, you know, I've noticed that Maria has been doing this. Is this something you've noticed at home? And the other way, the fourth way, is a much more formal approach, where you're bringing everyone together and you're inviting the child to tell their story. Now, sometimes people say, well, why wouldn't you talk to the child earlier? Well, of course you have. And in terms of the first step of using strength-based strategies to engage and influence the child, we're assuming that you have tried to build a relationship with this child and that you've tried to find out what's going on with the child. So this would not be the first time that you have ever had a conversation with the child when you're at step 4. Just want to clarify that. And then, of course, step 5 is, if necessary, advocate on behalf of the child with family or additional support from trained professionals. So what we know is that you could do everything that was in your power. You could try very hard. You could be the most caring adult, but there might just be things that are out of your control. And you have to know that there is, additional help out there for you. And we would encourage you to, as an organization, have a strategy of support contacts that could be happening. And that would also come after you've had a discussion with the parents in step 4, and potentially, find out if what else is going on with the parents, if the parents have ever thought about this, and but not, you wouldn't bring it up in front of the child. You would just, you would hopefully hear more things that were going on and get the idea whether or not they'd even gone down this road. So I think that you have the ability to learn a lot through these 5 steps about the child and what could be working for them to engage them. And I hope that gives you some steps that you could try in the future if you run into these difficulties. Now, one of the most difficult things that people will say is, well, having that conversation with the child and their parents about a sensitive topic like this could be very difficult. So we would give you these sort of bullet points to say, start with the positive, always talk about, the great things that have happened, and, find something. Again, we go back to always find the good in the worst situation. So always start with something positive and then use a joining statement. And what I mean by that is, what I used earlier. I've noticed that Maria responds this way in this situation. Is this something that you've seen at home as well? And provide your observations very openly and honestly. Just be clear about what's going on and non-judgmental, but just say, this is what I'm observing, and have an open discussion and try to remain optimistic that you will be able to come up with a solution, and then apply the solution. And the very important thing is, once you've all agreed on a solution, and it's very important that the child has agreed on a solution if you're working directly with the child, make sure that they're invested in that solution and that they are contributed to that. Then you want to definitely monitor and evaluate how that's going. And you may have to do it again, but it will get easier as you go. So these are the key things that you want to do when you are having discussions that could be difficult with children and or their parents. So again, an important reminder, you're not a mental health expert, and your job is to foster healthy child development, not label and diagnose children. I just want to give you a couple seconds worth of background on how we got here. Dr. Kelly Leach, who's now an MP, actually wrote a report called Reaching for the Top, and it identified children's mental health as a priority. The Ontario Government Healthy Communities Fund agreed that this was a need, and so we ended up being able to bring together the mental health expertise of Dr. Stanley Kutcher and Dr. Wayne Hammond to create Healthy Minds for Healthy Children. We've had great feedback on the online module, that it has been able to help people understand children's mental health issues better and be able to use it. These are some of the comments that we've heard from people who have taken our training. And a key person that took part in our training was Kelly Anderson, who's the executive director of an organization of parents whose children have mental health challenges. And what they are saying is that basically their kids have been kicked out of every program they've ever tried to join because no one knows how to manage them and adapt and be able to um, you know, develop relationships so that the child will stay. And so Kelly's response was that she's hoping that as more people take our training or become more aware of what they can do to include all children and understand that often mental health challenges hide themselves in other behavioral things that people misconstrue. Um, she's hopeful that as knowledge grows around that, that their children will be able to participate more in sports and rec. So as I mentioned, High Five Healthy Minds for Healthy Children is a free online training module that you get if you've taken one of our frontline leader courses, the Principles of Healthy Child Development or High Five Sport. And that is because we didn't want to just put it out for everyone because we want people to take a foundational training. So you need to know the foundations of healthy child development because this one takes it to the next level. So if you don't even know how to be a caring adult, we're not sure that you're going to be able to engage children who are in distress or have a disorder. So we want to make sure that everyone has the foundation. It also includes a downloadable resource for additional support that you are able to access once you've got access to the online training.